You're good.
Good morning. We'll call to order the special meeting for the Oneonta City School District Board of Education for May 11th, 2020. Before we do the roll call, I just want to offer a little bit of an explanation about why we're meeting today when we do have a board meeting scheduled on Wednesday. With all of the changes to the election period, moving the vote, the state obviously sprung this date on us, but with that comes a number of regulatory requirements for notification to the voters. So we need to have the budget approved at a certain period of time before the vote so that we can get the notifications out on time and be within the regulatory requirements. Today meets that date and Wednesday would not have. So we're meeting this morning for that. Also, for any attendees that may be watching, if you wish to provide a comment during the opportunity to address the board, down at the bottom of the Zoom screen, there's a Q&A button there. You can post a comment in there and I will read those comments during the opportunity to address the board. Can we have the roll call, please?
Of course. Mr. Beckerink?
Here.
Mrs. Burnsworth?
Here.
Mr. Butterman?
Here.
Mr. Gaisford?
Here.
Mr. Grau?
Here.
Mrs. Kurkowski?
Here.
Mr. Reynolds?
I'm here. Morning.
Thank you.
Resolved to accept the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. This brings us to our first opportunity to address the board. I don't see any comments in the comment box. There will be another opportunity later if you wish. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools that the 2020-2021 budget totaled $40,942,352 be adopted by the Oneonta City School District Board of Education.
So moved. Second.
Discussion.
I'm going to share my screen, and this worked a minute ago, so let's see what happens here. So can you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So as Mr. Grau was saying, we have a vote on June 9th, and we have to have a budget plan in place by today, which is 30 days before June 9th. So that is the state mandated vote date, and that will be completely by absentee ballot, which will cost a small fortune. But what happened here is basically, they stopped the vote date, and then, so it was kind of like, wait, okay, boom, go. Now do it right now. So, we had to have something in place. So that's what we're presenting to you today. Not to say that we're not still working on things, but this is a plan that we're working on today. So on the ballot, what you'll be deciding, or the voters will be deciding, is the adoption of a school district budget, election of 2 board members. There is a proposition on there for the purchase of 2 buses, and you may recall we've had the buses in the budget in the past, and we did pull them out to free up some of that funding, and they will be bonded over 5 years, and that payment over 5 years would start in the 2021-22 budget. So we would borrow this year and then start paying in the following budget year. And there is also a proposition on there for the capital projects to address the underground storage tank removals and parking lot repairs. That we have a different set of funding set aside for, and we were already, kind of in the works with that, and then learned that we could actually get state aid for that if we run it through as a capital project rather than a repair project. So that's the reason that is on there. That's not part of the budget. That's a whole separate funding stream. And let's see. So the budget proposal, just to highlight, it's $40 million. It's almost $41 million, which is actually a decrease of about $175,000 from last year. You've heard us say this a lot. Our budget is really mostly made up of salary and benefits. It's approximately 70% of our budget. So that's where we're getting into a little bit of a glitch here, because in order to balance it, we had to do a lot with people. The tax levy increase, our maximum allowable levy, or our tax cap without having a supermajority vote, is it's almost $500,000. Our projected state aid is decreased by about $400,000, and most of that has to do with building aid. And you'll see in just a second here, as our debt service goes down, our building aid also went down. So the aid that we depend on a lot, as our general expenditures increase, is our foundation aid, and you'll see that remains flat. And there also may be an opportunity for the state to actually decrease that. And our use of fund balance in this budget is $1 million. So that's basically, the fund balance is not a revenue stream, but it's money that we have set aside. And so we are using that to balance what we don't have coming in revenues. So I'm not going to read through all these, but our salary and benefits are about, between 28 and $29 million of that 41 million. And you can see some of the salary changes resulted in less staffing. So that's attrition from retirements, not replacing some vacancies. And unfortunately, this plan does reflect some layoffs, and we're still working through that. Our health insurance is what's been really hitting us hard as well. That is a little over $1 million increase. That was a 10% increase to us. In the past couple of years, we have had some pretty significant increases in our health insurance. Our TRS percentage went up, and that's right now it's about $43,000, but that changes as the salaries change. So that's a percent of salaries that we pay towards people's retirement. Also, we increased the unemployment because with the chance of people being laid off, we're self-funded for unemployment, so which means that we pay the whole shot. So I had to increase that line if we do have some unemployment that we have to pay. And you can see the other benefit changes there. So just in the categorical, expenditures, so BOCES it's approximately the same. You can see kind of where we went up and down there. We really did go through the budget with, a fine-tooth comb and try to nickel and dime everywhere that we could. So the technology is down pretty significantly. Technology and equipment, we basically cut the equipment from the budget. You can see where we are with the other categories. The transportation contract, we do have a new transportation contractor, and that will go up a little, but I guess, how you can say this is you've seen what we had in the past, and you get what you pay for. So we're hoping for a pretty significant change in our transportation department. We did take the utilities down because hopefully with this project that we just did, the energy performance, we're hoping to save with utilities there. Oh, and there's the debt service. I'm pointing at it, which you can't see. But I said the state aid went down, and that was mostly building aid. And you can also see on the flip side of it how our debt service went down. We do pay for tuitions to other districts for foster placements or special placements. So we never know what's going to come at us. But as of right now, we were able to, it's down with the number of FTEs. So that took that down a little bit. We talked about taking the bus purchases out of there. So as I mentioned, just to go through some of the revenues, which is, what we need, but we don't have a lot of control over to cover our expenditures. But we did put the tax levy at $492,000, and that's something that the board will vote on in August before we do this. We did have a new pilot, so that helped us increase there a little bit. The penalties on the taxes have been going down, and you remember a few years ago, the county used to pay us in different years, and so now they pay us at once, which is nice because we get the money, in the same year, but there's also less penalty payments on that. So the state aid was down. We already talked about that. And in the past, our state aid had been about 41%, and that's going down. So as part of our revenue, they're filling less of that gap for us. Some of the significant things with the changes in state aid, there are 3 look-back periods, and I actually expect that we'll hear today or tomorrow about the first look-back period, which ended April 30th. And these 3 periods, which you can see on the screen there, are really an opportunity for the state to look at its revenues and expenditures and say, you know, we need to take some aid back. We don't know what that's going to look like, but just of our foundation aid, a 20% reduction in that, which is a number that's been thrown around. There's nothing set in stone, but that percent has been thrown around, and that's about $2.2 million for us. That would be pretty significant and difficult for not only us, but any district in New York State. Another thing that the state did with this budget is it shifted some of their costs to school districts. And so one of those things was when we have residential placements, so for example, you know, maybe in Springbrook or School of the Deaf, there's a maintenance cost for the students who actually reside there. And so the state paid part of that, and the district paid part of that. In the past was 38.4%, and now the state has shifted their whole share to us. So now it's about 57% that we're paying of that, and that can get pretty significant as you have more students placed. The good news in this budget is that some of our expense-based aids, like building aid, transportation aid, which are based on what we actually spend, they were rolled in with the governor's proposal to the foundation formula. So the good thing is that that is not rolled in anymore. So that would be based on our actual expenditures. So some of the other revenues you can see here, they're not really super significant, but you can see the changes there. And we talked about the use of fund balance. So last year, as I mentioned, we had the buses in our budget. So we had some fund balance that we used against those buses. So when we took the buses out, we took that fund balance offset out, and you know, we have some pretty hard years coming at us, so we want to make sure that we have something to help us offset, and maybe even offset some of this look back, take back, if we do have that. So we also had another 150,000 thrown against the budget last year from fund balance, and as I kind of mentioned before, it's not really a good funding stream for us because it's not a revenue. So once you use it, you know, how do you replace it in the budget? And then our interfund transfer from capital, that, you know, we're working on a capital project right now and we borrow for that. And so we make some interest on that. So we're hoping to take that interest and put it against our debt service payments for those projects. Just to give you just a quick look at what our tax cap has looked like. We've been, I think, pretty responsible with our tax cap. And we have not gone above the tax cap since it started. And we're right in the same neighborhood as where we have been. So this year, the calculation was 2.28%, and that's what we're recommending that we go out at. And that's pretty close to last year, as you can see. There were a couple years there in red where you can see that we actually went below the tax cap. But this year, we really need to stay where it is. And then some upcoming dates. We have today, obviously, May 20th, all the budget documents will be available online. This presentation right here will be available online today after we went through it with the board. May 27th will be a budget hearing, and that will be by Zoom, just like a board meeting. And then June 9th is the actual vote date by absentee ballot, and we have to have those ballots in hand by 5 o'clock on June 9th. So basically that's the summary in a nutshell, and I'll be working on the budget booklet with, you know, more detail and a lot more information in there that will be posted on our website, and we'll be doing our regular mailings as well following the board adoption of the budget. And that's all I have for you.
Any questions? I'll just say again, and we've said this before, but Lisa and Tom, we really appreciate all the hard work you and everyone is putting in to put together a budget like this, and especially in this difficult time. And I know you're planning for that 20% cut. And if you do the math, right now we're around 750,000. 2.2 million is a little less than 3 times that. So if that comes, we're really going to be in dire straits, along with everyone else. But that doesn't make me feel any better for our kids. But I appreciate that. Any other questions or discussion?
Thank you.
All right, call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. And as Lisa mentioned, we are going to also bond for the buses this year, so we have a resolution to put that on the ballot also. Shall the May 11th, 2020 bond resolution authorizing the purchase of school buses for the city school district of the city of Oneonta at a maximum cost of $253,471, authorizing the issuance of up to $253,471 of bonds, maximum 5-year maturity, providing for a tax levy, therefore, in annual installments, pledging the district's faith and credit for debt service, delegating powers with respect to bonds and notes, and providing an estoppel procedure be approved. So I need a motion to approve that to add to the ballot.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Resolved that the Board of Education hereby appoints the following persons to serve in the capacity of registration board/poll inspectors for the June 9th, 2020 budget vote and election. The vote will be conducted through absentee ballot. Appointees: Charlotte Georgia, David Purity, Rebecca Vanderwerker, and Charlotte Santamel.
So moved. Second.
Did we get one of each? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. All right, we have our second opportunity to address the board. I don't see anything in the chat, so we will move down to adjournment. We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, thank you. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See everybody on Wednesday?
Yeah, see you Wednesday.
Got it.
Bye now.
Thank you.
Bye.